Hey everybody, Adam Hernandez here, filling in for Garrett on the post-match, recapping Detroit City FC's 1-0 win over the Indy 11 last night from Keyworth Stadium, thanks to an own goal in the 57th minute from James Musa, which was set up, brilliantly by Ates Diop last night, who did an excellent job, really phenomenal job penetrating the box, cooking a defender, and just kind of throwing the ball towards the net, making things happen, and putting Detroit City FC up 1-0, which ended up being enough for a short-handed Indy 11 side who took a red card in the 30th minute. Bruno Rendon sent off for throwing elbows on the Detroit City end. And like I said, Detroit City FC ended up taking advantage of it, securing their first league victory since June 21st, when they beat Miami FC from Keyworth Stadium as well. This win last night, like I said, coming off of a very stale, lifeless performance this past Wednesday against Rhode Island, gives Detroit City FC a little bit of breathing room in the East. They're still sit sixth in the East table. Looks to be still only 3 points clear of that eighth and final spot, which is being held on to by Rhode Island. Indy 11 drops out of the playoff picture in ninth place, sitting at 20 points. The thing is, though, in the East things are extremely tight right now. Right now, you've got 10 points separating third place and 11th place. You have North Carolina FC, who is, ironically enough, Detroit City FC's next opponent this coming Friday night in North Carolina, and the Birmingham Legion at 19 points in 11th place. And you know what? You look even a little bit further down, last place in the East right now, currently being held by the Tampa Bay Rowdies at 17 points. So they are still within striking distance as well for that eighth and final spot in the East. And again, that's despite the Tampa Bay Rowdies' just awful start to the season. So it's still anybody's game, third to 12th in the East. And like I said, in Detroit City FC, just they can't afford to drop points here. And what's funny enough is that Detroit City FC still has the opportunity to get a home playoff match. I mean, which is incredible considering how bad they've been since the beginning of May. I mean, they've been arguably the worst team in the East during that stretch of games there. So like I said, you've got another crucial matchup coming up this week, and they're all really crucial for Detroit City FC. Like I said, they just can't afford to drop any more points. They need to get as many wins as they can because, there's really no room for error here when you have, everything completely wide open, third to 12th, really, when you really look at it, if you're just trying to secure points. And just make it into the playoffs. But like I said, last night though, a good win for Detroit City FC, coming off of just that loss against Rhode Island this past Wednesday night. Detroit City FC, I think, playing well enough to get that victory. I don't think this was an unearned victory at all. I think Detroit City FC earned it. A couple of things though coming out of last night. Yes, they beat a bad Indy 11 team, and they played well enough to do that. Ball possession last night, 74% to 26% in favor of Detroit City FC, which is just purely based off of that red card that Indy 11 took in the 30th minute. 15 total shots taken by Detroit City FC, only 3 on target though. Finishing continues to be something that has completely plagued this team. Matt Sheldon had 2 prime opportunities in the second half, was unable to take advantage of them, skied one of them over the crossbar, and it's things like that that are just gonna, keep you from beating good teams, and they still have good teams that they're going to face these final couple of months of the regular season. So you want to see some of that turned around. You want to see them able to finish these chances, because this is also a team that doesn't get many. This isn't an offensive juggernaut, much like many of the Detroit City FC teams that we've seen in the past. However, like I said, it's something that you can build on, and look ahead to North Carolina FC coming up this Friday night. Kobe Hernandez Foster looked good last night as well. 7.9 FOTMOB rating coming out of last night's game for him. I thought there were a bunch of other guys that looked good as well. Antas Diop is obviously going to be my player of the match last night, creating that opportunity for Detroit City FC, which put him over the top. I also thought Connor Rutz looked really good too, and Connor Rutz is kind of a guy that I don't think gets a lot of credit, but I thought he looked very good last night for Detroit City FC. Looking at some of these other stats here coming out of last night's game. It was like I said, it wasn't perfect by any means. It was another one of those games where if they played a better team, they probably get beat, or they probably come away with a draw. But against a team like the Indy 11, who ended up going down a man, you'll certainly take it, and it was certainly earned on Detroit City FC's end. Another thing too, as far as that effort from Diop, this is one of those things I hate when it comes to soccer and how they score things. I wish Diop would have gotten credit for that goal instead of this own goal stuff, just because he was a guy that clearly made that happen. I know own goals are inherently fluky, but this was as unfluky as an own goal I think can get, just based off of the effort from Diop and the way that he just kind of turned that defender inside out, inside the box there. So it's good to see from Detroit City FC last night. You'll take the win, and you look ahead to North Carolina FC, who they play this coming Friday night, and another one of those really must-win matchups for them, especially considering where North Carolina is in the table right now. This is a good thing to kind of switch points off here, steal 3 on the road, take 3 on the road, and continue to take this game by game. So another one of the stories coming out of last night from the match was the I hate to call it a protest, but just the display, or maybe lack thereof, from the Detroit City FC supporters, namely the Northern Guard supporters. And if any of you are obviously used to watching Detroit City FC games, whether they're in person at Keyworth or on TV, you'll always notice the abundance of banners and tifo displays that the supporters put on, which wasn't the case last night. There were only a few banners, some of them upside down, and no drumming, no capos leading chants during the first 6.5 minutes of last night's match. And this was in response to a couple of things. It was in response to the run of play, which has been horrible since the beginning of May. Like I said, 2 league wins since the beginning of May. And the second reason was the dismissal of 2 club legends, Trevor James and Tiffany James. Trevor, obviously being the longtime head coach, since 2019, and most recently the sporting director, and Tiffany James, Trevor's wife, the director of player wellness, who played a vital role behind the scenes with players on both the men's and women's side of things. And it was, I think, kind of a shock to a lot of supporters how this all went down. A few weeks ago, there was an announcement made by the club at a very peculiar time. It was a Tuesday morning. I believe at like 11:30 in the morning, they made the announcement that Trevor James was his time was ending at Detroit City FC, effective immediately, and the follow-up to that was pretty odd, considering they ended up posting a bunch of thank you messages, the club that is, to Trevor James. In doing so, there was a lot of pictures of him holding trophies and kind of highlighting one of the, if not the most successful time in the club's history. There were a lot of questions between then and now on what was going to happen with Tiffany, whether or not she was going to stay. The club was very quiet on that front. And just the other day, it was announced that Tiffany also would be departing the club, which ultimately wasn't surprising. But again, it was one of those things where supporters, fans of the club, have a lot of questions still about, and not a whole lot of answers are being given. And that was, in essence, that was the reason for the display. It seemed like it was just a dissatisfaction on the supporters' end of how the club is doing things when it comes to the FO and when it comes to how things are, how the team is performing on the pitch. So we'll continue to see how things go moving forward, whether or not there's going to be further displays, further action being taken by the supporters group, again, namely the Northern Guard supporters. Like I said, we'll see how things go from there. The next home match is in 2 weeks when they take on the Tampa Bay Rowdies, 7:00 p.m. From Keyworth Stadium on August 23rd. So, but like I said, we look ahead, 2 big matches coming up here. North Carolina FC on the road, and then they come back, Detroit City FC, to host the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Other than that, like I said, Detroit City FC gets a crucial 1-0 victory last night over the Indy 11. In the meantime, coming up tomorrow night, another big announcement coming from the club. We've got the stadium announcement coming. The club will announce, who the sponsor of the stadium is going to be, whose name is going to be on the stadium, which is exciting, and we're going to see the latest renderings as well. We'll be covering that here on the Majors Detroit, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, catch us on all of our socials at TMS Next Detroit, whether that's Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook. Also catch us as well on the Majors TV over at YouTube, and you can check out all of our content all in one place. Detroit.themajorsports.com, 451.themajorsports.com as well. In the meantime, I am Adam Hernandez saying have a good night, everybody, and we will see you next time.